Mackenzie Crossing and Native Welcoming Center. This is the vision of Catherine Wilson, who did the earlier introduction. As I was talking with her several months ago, we talked about where, how, what, why, when, and a number of circumstances came together that kind of indicated this might be a good place. So, as you know where you are here, so we're going to take a minute and just reflect on where we are. You can probably listen. We're going to be just quiet for about 15 seconds and see if you can hear the rivers. You've got a Blue River and Mackenzie. Maybe a little bit. We have the wind going and the traffic. So we are right there by the confluence of those two rivers. We're going to take 10 seconds and look to the east, across the Blue River, upriver on the Mackenzie. And we know up there are three beautiful giant volcanic mountains, the Three Sisters, right? They really define our watershed. And up there is the Obsidian Cliffs. Amazing place. Obsidian is a natural glass used in lots of tools. It's sharper than steel for surgeries. So then we can look south across that ridge. And first we would have to go, if we were going there, we would go across the river. The Mackenzie River is actually quite wide and flat right there because we're at the lowest end probably of the glacial valley. The big glacier that came off the Three Sisters Mountains ended in this area and made this part of the river very flat and wide. So that would be a good place to cross the river if there were no bridges built, or perhaps there was log jams that served as bridges. And a trail, if you wanted to go farther south to meet people who lived on the other side of the ridge, you would climb up over the lowest spot here and on south. If you wanted to go downriver, you would go to the west. We all know downriver is, right? The beautiful Mammoth Valley. And there was a very productive and benevolent place for people to live, has always been. Lots of wetland plants growing there. We have some camas seeds and samples around the corner here we can talk about more later. And there was actually a trail on the south side of the river along the south side of the river. So like east-west, you want to go from the camas fields to the Obsidian Cliffs, you could follow that. If you wanted to meet people here and trade some camas for obsidian, you could meet halfway. Stop by the Blue River. And then if we look up this river road, it takes us into the country between here and the South Santiam. And the South Santiam drainage was also a very big travel way between the Willamette Valley and Central Oregon. So in the 1860s, this area became very popular because gold was discovered right here in Blue River. And it came out of the Blue River drainage. So there were lots of native trails there, and that's why John's holding this map. Because what we know about trails are in the, on these older maps, and so they're marked in orange on the Blue River area. On the river. So you're here, up that way, crossing the river that way, east that way, and west that way. That's why we call it Mackenzie Crossing. That's why it makes sense to have this be the place of cultural exchange. As I said, there isn't very much written down about Indigenous life in the Mackenzie watershed. So we have the opportunity of exploring that subject, learning about it from each other. What do we all know? What can we find out? How do we want to share it? There's some people here who know a lot about it, and some people who know a lot about it that are here too. So we'll have opportunity in the future to talk more about it. I think that's Catherine. Oh, He's out organizing something, I don't know. I don't know when to stop talking. Okay. I worked for the Forest Service for 30 years, so I know a lot about this geographic area, in case you wondered. And since I retired, I started reading about local history. And I feel sometimes like when I start talking about history, I fall into a hole and people have to retrieve me. So if I do that, say so. One thing that we can talk about a little bit is the bigger picture of Indigenous history relative to the last 150 years. So, you know, when population increases due to migration of people on wagons, kind of boom, the population increase here in the Willamette Valley in the 1840s, 1850s. People of European descent primarily moving in from the east, and decided that the people who had already lived here, maybe they could move somewhere else, right? Good land here. Well, so there were some treaties made at that time in 1850s, early 1850s. He's talking about this now to put it in perspective, time perspective, acknowledge that was an era, a decade of pretty significant political and geographical change for a lot of people's lives. Were really upset at that time in the 1850s. I'd say very stressful for everybody. 1860s, gold was discovered here. 1880s, and the gold mines really brought a lot of people, like 3,000 people came up to this area. And the town of Blue River was laid out by Samuel Sparks, who was a soldier for the South in the Civil War, and then after the war he moved up here, started a new life, and that was Blue River.
Sorry, I saw a bird.
When do I get out of this hole?
I'm coming to get you out of the hole, Margaret.
Okay, well, I'm going to be around the corner with the maps for the rest of the afternoon, so let me know